Welcome back. You are still watching breaking news here on TVR Our World with the continuing escalations of conflicts and tensions over in Gaza Strip. We're bringing you the latest updates and developments as well as conversations. Joining me for the program today is the lecturer of International Relations Departments who is focusing on Middle Eastern studies of Business University, Tia Mariatul Kiptiah. Tia, thank you very much for joining me in this conversation.
Okay, welcome, Mas Idris.
It is a dire situation at the moment over in Gaza and also in Israel.
Yes.
We'll talk in depth about this. In the meantime, we have another report coming in before we continue on with our conversation. Indonesian Foreign Affairs Ministry expressed concerns over the escalating conflicts between Palestine and Israel. Indonesian Foreign Affairs Ministry has expressed concerns over the escalating conflicts in Palestine and Israel. The ministry asked both conflicting parties to stop the acts of violence to prevent any further casualties in both sides. The ministry also demanded that the root of conflicts in the region, which is Palestine's occupation by Israel, be resolved according to the standards agreed by the United Nations. Right, let's go over to our guest on the program today. Tia, it's as I said earlier, we are receiving a rush of information and reports coming in from both Israel and Palestinian sides of the conflicts, or rather the war at the moment with the raining down of rockets. From the ongoing conflict, especially on Saturday when it was called surprise attack, truly
exactly.
unprecedented.
Yes.
What is your overall analysis of the things that are currently unfolding in Middle East?
Okay, Mas Idris, this condition. It's very surprise because, as far we know, Hamas tried to attack to the Israel. For example, in 2007, Hamas attacked to the Israel and always failed because, for example, launching the rocket to the Escalation. You know, Escalation is the grassland in Israel area.
Is that the closest to the border between Palestine and Israel?
Yes, a border between the Gaza Strip in Israel.
Right, which is the southern part of Israel, is it?
Yes, so always empty victims from the Israeli. But now I'm surprising, Mas Iris, because were killed the Israeli until to the 700 people, right? And then from the Palestine, 400 people. So this is the biggest attack from the Hamas to the Israel, I think.
From your analysis, Tia, if we look back in retrospect, what caused the failure in 2007 and what has triggered, if we can call it, a winning surprise attack in that sense? What has led them to such a massive attack in 2023, many years after that failure?
Yes, I think it's difference between the attack from the 2007 and now, because I think Hamas tried to the in more detail how to attack to the Israeli areas, and then I think the Hamas have to big budget, I think, because war needed to the budget to attack
5,000 rockets raining down in Israel on that day.
5,000 rockets is very expensive. How Hamas the collecting the funding and attack to the Israeli, and then finally success, I think, because the victim from the Israeli is very a lot of people from the Israeli.
Up to this
700
point, released data by the Ministry of Health of Israel.
Usually, always the launching a rocket to the areas in Israel and empty victim, Mas Idris.
Right, so it's not like targeting civilians or inciting casualties, but just to a field or square where it's just to ignite the conflict. But before we talked about that sheer number of artilleries and weaponries that they have amassed before the attack, I'd like to get your knowledge on how it escaped, let's call it the radar of what is believed to be the most technologically advanced intelligence in the world, the Israelis.
Yeah.
And they did not see it coming.
Yeah.
And that has made headlines around the
We
world.
didn't know, Mas Idris, because the Israelis, as far we know, always detect every
Incoming,
movement from
yeah.
the Israel,
Even movements, yeah.
from the Hamas.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned this conflict between Hamas and Israel, not Palestine, because only Hamas launching to the Israeli area, because not all from the Palestine agreed with the Hamas policy, for example, and not all from the Israeli agree with the Netanyahu policy, for example. So we have to declare to the public this is the different mentions about the Palestine and Hamas, and then the Israeli and Jewish. We have to differences between the groups in Palestine areas and conflict areas, Mas Idris.
Right.
So maybe mostly the Indonesian people see that this is the conflict between the Palestine
and
Israel and Jewish.
Well, in general, there's other
Yes.
factions in between.
Yes, Jewish same like the Zionists, like the government of the Israel. I think it's different.
All right, so that's another perspective to look at from this very war. Let's go over again to the massive amounts of weaponry that they have amassed before the attack of 5,000 rockets raining down on Saturday morning in Israel. And because there has been an official statement from Hamas saying that they have received a congratulatory call from the president of Iran, saying that, you know, he congratulated in person on the success of the attack on Saturday morning on Israel. In the meantime, the Israeli government has also said that for a long time, and this is probably common knowledge too, but that Hamas has been long time funded and equipped by Iran, and which is also echoed.
Hezbollah also, and Hezbollah under the Iran dominations.
Which is also echoed by President Joe Biden of the U.S. saying that we have no clear indication at this time whether or not Iran has a direct role in the attack of Saturday morning, but they do believe that Iran has equipped, has provided weapons for Hamas. How do you read into all of these statements by the leaders?
Okay, your question is very interesting, Mas Iris, because I will divide it two groups, two allies in based on the global politics. First, the alliance from the Iran, and then China, and then Russia, and other alliance is US, and then European countries, and then Gulf countries. So as far we know, Iran always support to the fighters from the Hamas by Hezbollah, for example, and Lebanon supply to the rocket to the Hamas, and then Hamas launching to the Israeli areas. And then we didn't know, because I think this attack is very surprise, and I think needed the big budget, and
it cannot be
we
from the
didn't
Hamas
know
alone.
who is the actors behind the Hamas to launching to attack the Israeli, because I think based on the map of the global politics, not only Iran, because Iran, you know, under the economic sanctions from the US, is very difficult for the economic conditions in Iran. So I think not only Iran for these conditions, maybe related to the other countries.
Right.
Mas Idris.
You mentioned that the other alliance, other than the Western alliance, includes Iran and China and Russia. Do you think that these counterparts play also a hand in the provision of these massive weaponry? I mean, even though we have no formal words, I mean, even Putin said, even Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, has said that we have to stop all the war, which is negating of what he's actually doing in Ukraine right now.
The classical reason, I think, the classical statement, because you know, because Russia in the UN, for example, and then China in the UN always support to the fighters from Hamas to the Israel, and support to the Palestine, pre-Palestine. So I cannot mention, because without the evidence, Mas Idris, because the Putin only mentions declare the stop war ceasefire and others.
Right. At this point,
Yes.
playing on assumption is a bit dangerous, don't you think?
Okay.
But we do have a lot of more things to delve into. But Tia, bear with us. We have another information coming in for the program. The Indonesian Foreign Affairs Ministry has responded towards escalation of conflict between Palestine and Israel. Let's take a look at the formal and official response on behalf of the government of the Republic of Indonesia. Right, three crucial statements just further affirming the stance of Indonesia in regards to the escalating conflicts currently unfolding in Israel and Palestine. I'd like to get your take on this, Matia. The first is Indonesia is highly concerned with the escalation of Palestine-Israel conflict,
Yes,
which is a very common statement from all of the leaders out there. And Indonesia urged disputed parties to cease violent acts and prevent more victims. We cannot agree more. And the third point, Indonesia calls for resolution for core issues, which is Israel's settlements, or rather occupations in Palestinian territory, as according to UN agreed parameters. Probably your comments on the third point here. Is that even realistic at this point in time? Because Benjamin Netanyahu is extremely enraged. The cabinet of Israel is extremely enraged, and they have declared open war to Hamas at the moment.
Okay, Mas Idris, when all countries in Arabian countries try to open diplomatic relations with the Israel, and the last maybe Saudi Arabia and MBS said the closer and closer to the approach to the Israel, and where is the Indonesia position? Indonesia always support to the Palestine, how to Palestine, free Palestine, and then ask to the Israel, if you want to open diplomatic with Indonesia, you have to pre-Palestine, number one, and then the second choice is maybe related to the two-state solutions, and this is the problem. Yeah. This conflict is very complicated because Israel, they don't want to establish as the two-state solution based on the Indonesian government that they want, and the second, Hamas also want to only one state in Palestine. Okay. So yeah, so the Fatah is different with Hamas because Fatah choose to the diplomacy strategy how to approach
rather
to Israel.
An open war.
Yes, yeah, and Hamas different with the Fatah. Hamas fight to the Israel and only one state in Palestine, Palestine only without the Israel. It is impossible, Mas Idris. And Indonesia try to solve the problem and offer to the two-state solutions for this conflict. But I think the Israel rejected it. And until now, the Indonesian government cannot open diplomatic relation with Israel. The reason is because Israel rejected to the asking from Indonesia to the
free Palestine and to go with the two-state solutions offer there.
Two choice from the Indonesian government. So for these conditions, I think the effect of this conflict because of the civil society, you know, because the world have to pay attention to the humanity. I think the Netanyahu will attack feedback to the Gaza until finish.
Right, which brings me to my next question to you, Matia. Why attack at all? Because it's not only about the attack, it is also the aftermath of the attack. Because attacking alone, I mean, you hit the buildings, you hit the targets that you wanted to hit, but the collateral damage of it, I mean, we are looking at pictures of women, children, and medics who have become direct casualties to this. And what justifies these actions? This is something beyond our comprehension.
Yeah, because we are said, Mas Idris, because the war caused to the civil society to suffer. you know. And then Hamas and Israel have to pay attention about the humanity and the victims from the civil society, for example. And Hamas know if the groups launching to the rocket to the Israel area, Israel will back attacks again.
Will retaliate.
Yeah.
This
For
is what it
example,
calls
in
retaliatory
2007,
attacks.
in
Yeah.
2007, empty victim from the Israeli. But what happened after that? Israel, the Palestinian people, especially in Gaza, were killed until 2,100 people. So it is very cause the sadness, yeah,
Yeah.
for the world, Mas
Right.
Idris.
Right. And I'd like to go back to the thing I told you earlier, that the cabinet of Israel has agreed with Benjamin Netanyahu to declare an open war, meaning
Yes,
that
yes.
things will only escalate from here.
Yes.
What to expect from this point on, Batia, from your perspective? Because you also mentioned that there's been a call for the local people to evacuate the area of Gaza. I mean, you've been there.
Yes.
Give us a sense of where this is going to go to.
I worried with the Gaza Strip condition based on the Netanyahu statement,
Yeah.
because ready to the war with the Hamas.
Yeah.
Because
Gaza is like the headquarters,
the center of the Hamas
base
in Gaza,
camp,
yeah, the base camp.
of Hamas.
I think in 2007, empty victim from the Israel, and Israel attacked back to the Hamas and caused the victims from the Palestine until 1,200 people. And you know what happened when the Israeli were killed by the Hamas until 700 people from the Israeli.
Yeah.
You
From the
think,
initial attack
yeah,
on
you
Saturday.
think what happened? Because empty victim from the Israel attack again.
Yeah.
And now,
With 700
Yes,
people
yes.
dead, and a lot of them are also international people, not only Israelis. We have received reports people from Nepal have died, and American citizens,
Yes,
so
yes.
which will only
Biden declare,
enraged,
and then
yeah.
Rishi Sunak declare, and then European countries declare and support to the Israel. And what happened with the Gaza? I worried, Mas Idris, because
Exactly.
I think until finish Benjamin Netanyahu policy will attack to the Gaza Strip.
Okay, I'd like to also reflect on what Anthony Blinken has said, Secretary of State of the U.S., that by Sunday, all the help, all the assistance that Israel needs will be delivered today, and that
Yes.
is by Sunday,
Yes.
echoed by Rishi Sunak
Yes.
of the UK, and also, if not mistaken, by Germany and France as well, Emmanuel Macron. So, is Gaza going to be annihilated, do you think?
Yes, I think, when the U.S. government declare, I will support you, I will deliver many weapons and then drones maybe to the Israel to protect the Israeli from the Hamas attack, and then British also, and then European countries.
Right.
We don't know, Mas Idris, what happened with the Gaza Strip. I think I not support to the one groups, for example,
Yeah.
but I pay attention to the humanity in Gaza because the victims from the civil society.
Yeah, just stop the war.
Yeah.
That is the first thing to do. That has been
Maybe I agreed with the policy of the
Ceasefire.
Fatah, for example, approach to the strategy of diplomacy,
Diplomatic,
and then maybe meeting together to discuss together to free Palestine, and all Arab countries involved to the Sixth War, for example, in 1948, finally open diplomatic relation. I think this is the good strategy how to Israel finally to free Palestine.
right.
And maybe the Arab countries pressure to the Israel on economic cooperation, for example, if the Israel rejected to the pre-Palestine. But again, Hamas attack again. We don't know after this condition, after this conflict
Yeah.
to the pre-Palestine. For example, the future of the free Palestine, it is possible or too far to create a peace, to solve the problem, to solutions, and to free Palestine after this.
Very well said there. But yeah, nothing justifies attacks towards humanity. Nothing justified it. But there has been a report saying that the attack on Saturday, the massive attack on Israel on behalf of Hamas, was a response towards the many offenses across the years that have been done by the particularly Israeli soldiers, towards Palestinians in particular who are praying in Al-Aqsa, for example, offenses during the months of Ramadan that have, in lack of a better words, accumulated into this rage that have resulted into the massive attack on Saturday. And on the other part, the retaliatory attack from Israel to Gaza, which is ongoing now, which we believe will claim more lives, more casualties, cannot also be justified, even though it is a retaliatory attack. So how do we see this? How do we find common ground just to see that there is there a way to just cease fire? Because the collateral damage, again, is not only the targeted groups, but the civilians alongside.
Yeah, Hamas always mentioned the reason why the Hamas attack to the Israel. First, because the desecrations of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And then the second, because the occupations from the Israeli. I think this is the classical reason. But now the world need to create a peace and solve the problem. What is the solve of this conflict? Because it's very complicated. I think the war, it's not solutions for the Free Palestine. I agree with the diplomacy approach, and then meeting together. We know, because also one and also two, it is failed. The agreement failed because West Bank finally the under dominations for the Israel. But maybe the Palestine, especially Hamas, try to diplomacy strategy to the Israel. War is not solution, I think, because we need the create a peaceful in the Palestine.
Yeah, to be able to foster a dialogue.
Because we have to think about the civil.
We need to have cool heads, and right now cool heads are a rare commodity, I believe, in that region. And up to this point, we haven't heard anything from Fatah yet.
Oh yes.
But yeah, so that's something to look forward to, that we hope we'll find some sort of common solutions between these two. In the meantime, I'd like to get your takes also on the international responses towards this attack. You mentioned earlier that strong words have come from the Western Alliance, but on the other side, we also received statements from governments such as from Turkey, from Egypt, Saudi Arabia, from Pakistan, even Colombia. The president himself said that we have to stop the war and we are standing by our Palestinians counterpart in regards to the occupations that you mentioned. Share with us your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think this moment all Arab countries and then Western countries, including the America, have to meeting together to solve this conflict. And I think the Hamas include to this meeting, but I'm not sure Hamas will accept the invitations. I think according to the Hamas, Palestine
does not want to go to talk on the table.
One state, not two-state solutions. And Hamas rejected to the Israel sovereignty. It's difficult because, you know, behind the sovereignty of the Israel, there is the America and then European countries, and then the biggest countries in the world support to the Israeli sovereignty. It is difficult, not only for the Arab countries support to the Palestine, Egypt. I think, Arab countries now open diplomatic, so Palestine not depend on Arab countries again, but Palestine have to diplomacy strategy approach to Israel by itself, not depend on Arab countries, because I think Arab countries think about the national interests based on their country.
Right. Greater than Arab countries, the OIC, do you think will have a hand on this?
Only mention stop war. Only mention stop war. But
statements.
Yeah, only statement.
Right. On that regard, the UN Security Council this Sunday will convene to talk about this. What can we expect from this, Batia?
Yeah.
How much influence can the United Nations exert into this conflict?
A little bit, Mas Indra, because based on the data, based on the experience on this war, For example, agreement Oslo 1, Oslo 2, Camp David is failed agreement. Israel occupy again, and then conflict still happen until now.
Right, so it's
So hopeless for these conditions.
It's a circle of devil unless
Yes.
everyone comes together to talk this out. It's been an eye-opening conversation. I'd like to give our thanks to our guest today, and also it has been, for lack of better words, illuminating just to see other perspectives of this war and what possibilities they can achieve.
Hopefully, maybe in the future, create a peace and free Palestine from the Israel to the Palestine.
Which is at this point in time,
We will
it's like
happy, yeah.
we're going through a very long dark tunnel there. We only wish the best for our brothers and sisters over in those two regions. Faculty member, or rather the lecturer of International Relations Department focusing on Middle East Studies of Binus University, Tia Mariatul Kiptiah. Thank you so much, Matia.
Thank you, Mas Intus.
And we have more reports coming up for the breaking news today on TVR World. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.